General Hospital spoilers for the next 2 weeks, from May 26th to June 6th, teaser. A shocking secret that Michael has just confirmed has become the starting point for a complete restructuring in the legal battle for guardianship of Wiley and Amelia, 2 children that. More than anyone, Michael has always considered the reason for his existence amidst the endless turmoil in Port Charles. This truth, which had been buried in a series of doctored records and intentionally false testimonies, is now brought to light with undeniable evidence. What Michael discovers is not only the forgery of psychological evaluation results but also a deep connection between Drew and a group of corrupt experts who issued biased reports to remove Michael Fr. his legal guardianship position, allowing Drew and Willow to gain full control over the children's lives. At first, Michael hesitates. He doesn't want to hurt Willow, the woman he once loved and built a family with. He also doesn't want to drag Drew into the whirlpool of justice if everything can be resolved with understanding and reason. But as the truth begins to unfold, with each piece falling into place, Michael is forced to face what he fears most. That the people he once trusted have been quietly manipulating the system for their personal gain, and worse, doing so at the expense of Wiley and Amelia's childhood and emotional safety. With no way out, Michael decides to enter the fight, this time with an active and uncompromising role. He no longer relies solely on emotions or ethical appeals but begins to implement a sophisticated legal strategy, advised by top lawyers backed by Carly. And protected by Jason, who understands that this is not just a family matter, but a battle to expose the underground power structure that dominates Port Charles. These new adjustments in Michael's approach start to make those who once considered him predictable wary. He begins to restructure the entire evidence. From Wiley's medical records to Amelia's therapy history. And files a complaint with the court to reassess the legality of the temporary guardianship Drew and Willow had won through questionable methods. But it doesn't stop at the legal front. Michael also changes his approach in terms of media and public image. With the support of influential people in the press, especially after Nina lost her credibility at Crimson, Michael begins to reshape the public perception of him. No longer is he seen as a son overshadowed by Sonny or Carly, but as a decisive, intelligent father, ready to fight for his children. He appears at community events, agrees to strategic interviews, and most importantly, allows Wiley to be seen naturally, lively, and lovingly in outdoor activities, which family courts highly value when assessing custody cases. This shift causes Drew to start showing signs of losing control. When he realizes Michael is gathering evidence and may overturn the entire case, Drew tightens his grip on Willow while ramping up media efforts to maintain public support. But it is at this moment that Michael releases evidence of Drew's interference in the expert evaluation process, a leaked email, a brief recording. But enough to destroy the entire argument Drew had used to gain guardianship. Willow, upon seeing the evidence, is thrown into crisis. She cannot believe that the man she trusted, who she once saw as her pillar after Michael, is the one manipulating the future of her child to protect his own ego and power. The court immediately reopens a special hearing. Michael, for the first time, walks into the courtroom not with the heavy eyes of someone being forced, but with the cold, sharp gaze of someone who knows exactly what his goal is. He no longer begs to be trusted. He proves he deserves it. The records, testimonies, videos, and even the testimony of Donna, his younger sister, who once witnessed Drew whispering with lawyers in the dark, are all presented legally, clearly, and irrefutably. This legal battle is not just a turning point in the fight for Wiley and Amelia. It is a clear message that Michael has grown, has broken free from the cracks of his past, and has become a force in his own right. No longer defined by the name Corinthos or Carly's patronage. He is proving himself to be an independent father, a steady leader, and a man willing to sacrifice everything to protect what truly matters. This new shift, from a passive Michael to an active Michael, is redefining the entire landscape of Port Charles. Old relationships are starting to crumble. Forces that seemed invincible are beginning to fracture. And in the shadows, those who thought they could manipulate everything with power are starting to realize, this time, Michael won't stop halfway. He is ready for the final battle, not for fame, not for victory or defeat, but for the future of Wiley and Amelia, a future he will no longer let anyone trade for lies. The story of the secret conditions Tracy holds to destroy Drew is no longer a rumor circulating backstage. It has now been confirmed clearly, coldly, and officially as a declaration of war against the entire power structure in Port Charles. Tracy, with the experience of one who has manipulated politics, finances, and the emotions of those around her, has quietly prepared a plan to topple Drew at the moment when all forces are most chaotic and vulnerable. What shocks everyone is that Tracy not only holds a series of legal documents that could prosecute Drew, but she also possesses a cross-record of financial transactions he made during his shady dealings with research funds sponsored by Aurora's affiliated businesses. The conditions Tracy sets are not like direct threats. They are silence bargained with power, wrapped in absolute wisdom, and shielded by the cloak of old loyalty that many thought she had discarded. But now, as the truth begins to unfold, people realize Tracy has never left the game. She has just been waiting for the right moment to return with devastating force. And when the target is Drew, the man who overthrew key members of the Quartermain family to take control of Aurora, Tracy knows she needs a blow that is both precise and brutal, enough to keep the opponent from ever getting back up. In this context, Jason, Sonny, and Carly, who seem to be pursuing separate paths, suddenly realize they have one thing in common: the increasingly dangerous presence of Drew, and now the intervention of Tracy. The scattered pieces, from Jason realizing Drew tampered with the evaluation records, to Carly discovering tampered documents in the education fund she once co-supervised, now form a clear conflict map. And when Sonny learns that Drew is behind the media efforts to tarnish Michael's image in the custody battle, his final hesitation is completely blown away. The new battle is officially drawn, no longer a warning, but a battle plan. Jason begins to rebuild his private investigation network, following financial transactions and the traces Drew left in Aurora's operational system. Carly, with the sharpness of one who once ran Metro Court, focuses on approaching individuals who had worked with Drew to force them to testify, even if it costs old relationships. As for Sonny, who has always stayed neutral in internal conflicts, he publicly supports Michael for the first time, not just because of family ties, but because he understands that if they don't act now, the entire family structure he once protected will be twisted by fake forces. What is most terrifying about this crazy shift is how completely relationships are being overturned. Allies once thought inseparable, like Willow and Drew, now stand on the brink of betrayal. Those who once remained silent, like Tracy, are now the ones leading the charge. And those who were thought to have fallen, like Jason after years of disappearance, are now the unstoppable tip of the spear. Tracy may be the one to fire the first shot, but it will be Jason, Carly, and Sonny who are ready to turn this battle into a massive purge. Each day that passes, more details are uncovered. A secret meeting of Aurora's shareholders is leaked. A document hidden in the internal management system suddenly appears. A recorded conversation between Drew and a court official shows the manipulation of the guardianship evaluation process. All of it is being gathered, not to threaten, but to attack, publicly, legally, and unrelentingly. Port Charles is about to witness a political and familial earthquake like never before. The boundaries that once existed between individuals and collectives, between emotions and responsibilities, between honor and lies, all are crumbling little by little. And at the center of it all are four names: Tracy, Jason, Carly, and Sonny, each with their own motive, their own past, but all heading toward a single destination: to destroy Drew before he can ruin what's left of the truth. The battle is no longer a choice. It is inevitable. And it will not end with a simple victory. It will end by reshaping the entire order in Port Charles, where loyalty is tested, identities are stripped bare, and secrets will no longer be weapons, but burdens each person will have to carry. Win or lose. Sasha is living through one of the most turbulent times of her life, as a new storm is brewing within Port Charles, one that doesn't arise from a public event or a media scandal, but from the quiet steps of a man, Rick Lansing, who is following the trail to uncover the truth about the identity of the father of the child Sasha is carrying. All this time, Sasha has worked to keep this secret buried, not out of fear, but because she understands that the truth could be the spark that will destroy everything she is trying to rebuild: peace, autonomy, and a promising future for the unborn child. But when Rick begins to suspect, when his gaze no longer slides over Sasha as a mere shadow but focuses with deadly intent and calculation, she knows that time is running out. Rick is not easily deceived by denials or emotional narratives. A man who has manipulated the law, navigated the depths of politics, and witnessed the twists of family law, he has the ability to peel back every layer of falseness to get to the truth. From the medical record stamped confidential, to the unusual schedule of Sasha's brief departure from Port Charles before she became pregnant, everything begins to fit together like a map leading to the answers. With each piece he uncovers, Rick gets closer to a terrifying conclusion: that the child Sasha is carrying is not just the result of a moment of weakness, but a crucial link that could unravel the entire balance between the town's powerful families. What's even more worrying is that Rick isn't seeking the truth for empathy or to reclaim what was lost. He is searching for it as a tool to gain power, influence, and control. Once he confirms the identity of the father, if it's who he suspects, one of the influential figures within Port Charles's legal, medical, or media systems, the child will become a bargaining chip, a strategic pawn Rick can use to open the doors to power that had once been slammed shut on him. And that, for Sasha, is the greatest nightmare. Her child will no longer be born out of love, but will become a victim of ambition and cold calculation. Sasha, already scarred by too many past wounds, now has no time for pain or retreat. She knows that to protect her child, she must completely change her way of living, thinking, and confronting reality. She can no longer hide. It's time to become a real mother, one who is ready to fight so that her child won't grow up in lies, fear, and under the control of unworthy people. First, she begins to establish a tight legal protection circle. She hires a private attorney, not someone she knows, but a specialist in protecting the rights of expectant mothers and complex custody cases. She demands full confidentiality of all her medical records, traces those who have accessed her pregnancy information, and sends an official notice to the hospital that any leakage of information will result in a lawsuit. But she doesn't stop there. Sasha meets with Jason, the only person in Port Charles's conflicting world that she can still trust. Jason, with his rare silence and loyalty, doesn't ask too many questions but understands the gravity of the situation. He begins to monitor Rick from afar, using old contacts to investigate who he's interacting with, what he's gathering, and whether anyone is supporting him in the shadows. Sasha knows that Rick is not acting alone. Behind him is a network of influential figures, those tired of being on the sidelines and waiting for an opportunity to return to the chessboard. But Sasha doesn't just stop with legal protection or investigations, she actively reshapes the way others perceive her. She appears more often in the community, participates in charity events, and posts on social media to share her journey as a single mother, the challenges, and the real emotions, not to win anyone's favor, but to reclaim the power to define herself before anyone else distorts it with fabricated stories. Every time she steps out, it's a statement: I'm not afraid, I'm not running away, and I won't let anyone use my child to achieve their personal goals. Rick begins to feel the pressure. Every action he takes is being watched, every time he tries to approach a doctor, a hospital staff member, or an old source, someone is taking note. The control he once thought he had is becoming fragile. But what worries him most is not Jason or Sasha's lawyer, but Sasha herself, the woman who is no longer afraid, no longer avoiding, and no longer an easy target. She's no longer a victim of silence. She's the one holding the key to the whole game. And she's ready to use everything left to win, not for herself, but for the child growing inside her. In this complete transformation, Sasha not only protects her child but redefines the image of the woman who once fell, who was hurt, and is now stepping forward, stronger with each step, becoming a mother who cannot be defeated. And Rick, no matter how much power, how many connections, or how much evidence he holds, will soon face a different truth. That there is no force greater than the heart of a mother willing to sacrifice everything to let her child live freely and uncontrollably. Sasha is no longer standing behind. She's moving forward. And the storm she's carrying is the explosion of maternal love, something no one can stop. Portia is caught in a new chaotic whirlwind in her life, where the cracks from the past, still unhealed, are being torn open again by upheavals from every direction: emotions, family, honor, and control. She thought that after the crisis with Trina, after the exhausting days of secrets being exposed, she might regain some balance with Curtis. But Portia didn't expect that Curtis, the man she still loves, the one she hoped could forgive her and rebuild with her, was now launching a new attack. And the scariest part is that this attack isn't aimed directly at her, but at Jordan. Curtis's increasing closeness with Jordan, not just as colleagues or former partners but through a series of personal, intimate, and loaded interactions, is quietly causing Portia to break down little by little. She's not weak. Nor does she lack trust, but this time, she feels a truly deep fracture. Curtis is changing, slowly returning to his old self, the one who couldn't tolerate lies, who left the moment he saw a crack in trust. And now, as the distance between Curtis and Jordan narrows, Portia realizes that she's about to be pushed out of his life once again. Not through a noisy breakup, but through a silent, cold replacement. What suffocates Portia even more is the growing presence of a seemingly unrelated figure, Isaiah. Initially, Isaiah's involvement in the medical and charity events Portia participates in was just work. But gradually, their relationship started to develop strangely, combining professional respect with a new energy that Portia hadn't anticipated. Isaiah isn't like Curtis. He isn't cold, judgmental, or pressuring her over the past. Isaiah is present like a place of rest, a calm space where Portia can breathe, think, and regenerate after endless internal struggles. But this is opening up a new, calculated playing field. As Portia realizes that the emotions she's starting to feel for Isaiah, though still vague, might be the only thing keeping her together amidst the storm Curtis and Jordan are creating. She won't admit it, even tries to deny it in her every action. But deep down, Portia knows that once she opens the door to Isaiah, even for just a conversation, a longer glance, a moment to feel that gentleness, all her moral boundaries, all the fragments of honor she has guarded, will collapse completely. She won't just be the woman abandoned by Curtis. She'll be the one stepping into a risky relationship where every move could be an excuse for others to expose, judge, and undermine her. This is no longer a love story. It has become a strategic map, where every interaction has consequences. If Curtis and Jordan truly reconnect, both personally and professionally, Portia will face a situation she can't control. And if she continues allowing Isaiah to step further into her world, she won't just be emotionally betraying Curtis, but also pushing herself into a position where every defense becomes meaningless. Both choices lead to a break. It's just a matter of who gets hurt more, who gets criticized more, and who will be left behind in the silence of relationships that cannot be salvaged. Portia understands this, and because of it, she begins to act in her own way, a quiet, unannounced, but highly strategic battle. She appears more frequently with Isaiah at public events, but keeps enough distance so she isn't scrutinized. She sends messages to Curtis at the right time, in the right context, as a reminder that she still exists in his world. She doesn't block Jordan, but also doesn't create any opportunities for conversations that go beyond basic civility. And above all, she begins rebuilding her image in the eyes of the community, a dedicated doctor, a strong mother, an independent woman not defeated by broken relationships. But all of this is just a mask. Beneath it, Portia is wrestling with her greatest fear, the fear of losing everything. The fear of no longer being loved, the fear of being discarded by the very people who once promised never to leave. Curtis has changed. Jordan is coming back. Isaiah is getting closer. And Portia, the woman who once controlled everything with reason and determination, is now the one who must calculate every step with a heart that's breaking. This is no longer just an emotional battle. This is a fight between the past, present, and future. A choice between what she once believed was right and what she now knows is real. Portia is in the middle of a battlefield where there are no winners, only those who lose less. And if she fails, not only will her honor break, but her very soul will shatter with each heartbeat. Waiting for a miracle, even though she knows all too well that Port Charles has long since run out of miracles. Jocelyn is entering an unprecedented phase in her life, no longer the daily emotional arguments, no longer the impulsive conflicts of youth. This time, she must face an all-out, life-or-death battle, where her opponent is none other than Emma, who was once a friend, an ally, but now has become the challenger to Jocelyn's position, trust, and even her future in a world the two of them have only just begun to explore. This battle is not a simple rivalry between two women with strong personalities. It is the result of a series of covert events, full of scheming and secrets concealed by an organization neither of them can fully trust, WSB. The focal point of the conflict lies in one name: Professor Dalton. This powerful and secretive man is not only the trainer but also a symbol of a rigorous covert philosophy, where loyalty, intelligence, and emotional manipulation are valued above ethics. In the eyes of many, Dalton is a legend. But for Jocelyn and Emma, he is the one with the power to decide who stays in the organization and who gets eliminated, and that has placed both of them in an unending, fierce competition. Emma, with her calm demeanor and deep skills honed over years of covert training, is believed to be the one Dalton is favoring. She is not only intelligent and sharp but also knows how to make herself invisible in any situation, a quality WSB highly values. Meanwhile, Jocelyn, more impulsive, emotional, but with the ability to read opponents and react swiftly, is fighting to prove that what she has is not a weakness but a tactical advantage. She knows that if Emma gets ahead, it's not just her position she will lose, but she could be eliminated from the entire system she has risked her youth and safety to join. The competition intensifies when Dalton begins issuing unofficial tests, missions that could arise at any time, under any conditions, and those who fail will be erased, without explanation. In this context, Jocelyn begins to realize that it's not just about evaluating abilities. Behind the selection of the successor lies a web of political calculations by WSB itself, where dark secrets about covert operations, government manipulation, and eradication campaigns against rebellious personnel are hidden deep within classified files. And when she accidentally comes across an encrypted file, where Emma's name appeared in a special operation codenamed Night Code, Jocelyn understands that Emma is not just a competitor but might have been chosen from the start, a pawn, planted, to ensure the internal order of WSB remains intact. What makes the situation even more tense is that Jocelyn is no longer sure who she can trust. Her former teammates, once close during missions, are beginning to distance themselves. Leaked information on the system makes her a suspect as a mole. And through it all, there is one undeniable truth: Dalton is watching her every move, and Emma has yet to make a single mistake. In a world where trust is a luxury, Jocelyn is forced to create her own strategy, not just to defend, but to strike before she is defeated. She begins to access internal sources, quietly probing lower-tier data where files have been tampered with. What she uncovers makes everything even more dire. WSB is not just choosing a successor, but also selecting who will be sacrificed. One of the two, her or Emma, is destined to be blamed if any operation leaks to the outside. And if Jocelyn doesn't secure the top position, she will not only be erased from the organization but also turned into an international criminal, bearing charges she never even knew existed. Emma may be the one, protected from above, while Jocelyn, if she fails, will become the ideal sacrificial pawn. From that moment on, the battle between the two women escalates beyond all limits. It becomes a fight for survival, for honor, and for existence in a maze full of political traps and bloody secrets that WSB has hidden for decades. Jocelyn has no choice but to attack, not Emma, but the system protecting Emma. She knows that only when the truth about what WSB is truly doing is exposed, marked files, mysterious disappearances, money laundering through fake humanitarian organizations, will she have a chance to turn the tide. But to do that, Jocelyn must become what she once despised, a manipulator. Someone who can set traps and doesn't hesitate to sacrifice things she once considered inviolable. And if she fails, the price won't just be her reputation, it will be her life. This battle is no longer about Dalton, Emma, or WSB. It is a battle for Jocelyn to redefine herself, as one consumed by darkness. Or as someone strong enough to survive and break it, once and for all.